What's up, guys? Sleek here, and today we're breaking down the biggest monument in Anno 117 Pax Romana, the Amphitheater. This thing is massive. It takes 4 full construction stages, huge amounts of resources, and some pretty steep population requirements. But once you finish it, the payoff is huge. In this video, I'm going to show you everything you need before you even place the foundation, including the total resources, the population requirements, and how to prepare early so you don't get stuck waiting on materials. Then we'll walk through every single construction level step by step, and I'll finish with some extra tips to speed up the whole process and shave hours off your build time. Let's get into it. Before we get into each construction level, let's quickly go over why the amphitheater is worth building and what you should prepare long before you unlock it. Once the amphitheater is fully completed, it gives your city some massive late game boosts. It gives +3 happiness, +3 additional population units, and +7 prestige to every building that it's touching. It also unlocks the arena events, which is a whole nother topic that we would have to do another video on. Anyways, it's easily one of the strongest monuments in the game and a huge step forward for any late game city. If you want to prep ahead of time, here's every resource you'll need from start to finish. And yes, there are workforce requirements and some population milestones you'll have to hit, but I'll cover all of that when we break down each construction level. Here are just a few quick things you can do early on before you even start the construction that will save you hours later. Start stockpiling construction materials early, especially tile, marble, mosaics, and concrete. These are always the biggest bottlenecks. To piggyback off the last tip, raise your maximum storage. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can either upgrade your port. Right now, you might have a max of 150 materials that you can carry at one time. I would recommend trying to upgrade it to the next level. You can also add some depots to your islands so that they can hold more materials as well. Also, keep room to expand your Patrician district. You don't need them right away, but you're going to need a pretty big population later on. There's more specific tips. Some of them I'm going to say for the specific level, and then the rest of them I'll put at the end of the video because they're more nuanced and not for every occasion. Either way, this early preparation makes a huge difference and lets you build the amphitheater smoothly once you finally unlock it. Now that we got all this out of the way, let's start with the first stage of building the actual amphitheater. All right, let's get into the actual construction, starting with level 1. This first phase is simple. It unlocks the build site for the amphitheater and officially starts the monument. To start the foundation, you'll need 75,000 coins, 100 timber, and 60 concrete. There's no workforce requirement and no build timer on this stage. The moment you place it, the site appears and you can move straight into phase 2. One quick tip for this level: try to place the amphitheater in a central part of your island. Once it's finished, it gives bonuses to a large radius, so you want it somewhere that can hit most of your population and as many of your key construction buildings as possible. If you put it off to the side, you're leaving a lot of value on the table. Once the foundation is down, things start to get more demanding. Now we'll move into phase 2, which is called the foundation. This is the first real construction stage of the amphitheater, and it's where the resource costs and workforce requirements start to hit. To begin this phase, you'll need 150 timber, 300 concrete, and 150 rope. This stage also requires temporary workforce, and this is the first time in the build where people are actually tied up on the project. The good news is you'll get all of these workers back once the phase finishes, so it's only temporary. And unlike phase 1, this level does have a minimum construction time. Even if you deliver all the materials instantly, this phase will still take 30 minutes to complete. So once you start it, you're waiting at least a half hour before you can move on. During this time, it's also a good idea to make sure your population and production are stable, because the next phase, phase 3, introduces even bigger material costs and your first major population requirement. Next up is phase 3, the outer walls. And this is where the amphitheater really starts taking shape visually, and where the requirements jump up again. Before you can even start this phase, you need to reach 750 patricians in your city. Once you meet that requirement, the costs for the outer walls are 150 concrete, 300 tile, 300 marble, and 150 rope. This phase also uses a temporary workforce from one of your mid-tier classes. Just like before, they return to your population the second the construction finishes, so it doesn't permanently drain anything. But your city does need to be stable enough to spare them. Just like with the previous level, this one has a minimum construction time of 30 minutes. Even with everything stocked and delivered instantly, you'll still be waiting out that full half-hour timer before you can move on. Phase 3 is usually where players realize whether they prepped properly, because the next and final stage is the most expensive and has the highest population requirement in the entire monument. Finally, we're on Phase 4, the arena, the last and most expensive stage of the entire amphitheater. Just like Phase 3, there's a population requirement you have to hit before you can even start construction. You need 2,250 patricians in your city. If your population isn't fully developed, this is where you'll get blocked. So make sure you've been expanding and upgrading steadily throughout the game. Once you meet the requirement, here's what you'll need for the final build. 300 tile, 300 marble, 300 mosaics, 300 concrete, and 60 gold. This phase, just like the ones before, use the temporary workforce and takes a minimum construction time of 30 minutes. So plan for that accordingly as well. Once this stage finishes, the amphitheater is complete and all of its bonuses kick in immediately. +3 happiness to every building it's touching, +3 extra population units, +7 prestige, and you get access to all the arena events. All right, before we wrap up, here are a few extra tips to help you speed up the whole amphitheater process and avoid getting stuck. Tip number 1, we already talked about this earlier, but it's worth repeating. Start stockpiling construction materials early. I would advise once you're able to start making concrete, marble, and mosaics, you start thinking about stockpiling for the amphitheater. Another part of this tip that we didn't talk about earlier, up until this point, you might have not had gold whatsoever. So make sure that you have the process in place to get gold by the time that you need it in Phase 4. Also, like we mentioned before, tip number 2, make sure your storage capacity is actually high enough to hold more materials than you need. Upgrading your trading post and depots makes a huge difference, especially when you're trying to preload everything for all 4 stages. Tip number 3 is a good one that actually saved me a good amount of time. Check the traders and the AI often. They'll occasionally sell some of the materials you need in bulk, and buying them can save hours of production time. Tip number 4 seems simple, but you might not think about it. If you have other islands, and especially ones in Albion that are creating concrete or marble, and they're producing more than you need, ship those extra materials over to Latium. Don't let resources sit unused while you're just sitting there waiting for your resources to get made. Tip number 5 is more of an optimization one, but build your warehouses near the amphitheater building site. The shorter travel distance means faster deliveries to the monument, which saves you more time in the end. Tip number 6 is to always make sure your workforce is stable before starting each phase, and make sure that you can handle the temporary workforce that is needed. Even though the workers come back once construction is finished, a temporary drop can disrupt your economy if you're running tight. My last tip is kind of a common sense one. Try to make sure that your population is pretty well upkept before you start this. The last thing you need is for your bread or for your soap to be running out, and you have to take care of that instead of focusing on the amphitheater. Also, another thing, don't start a war or get into any kind of hiccups with the AI, because you don't want to be balancing having to deal with them pestering you while also making sure that you have all these materials ready to go. Use all of these and you'll shave a ton of time off the entire monument process. And that's the full breakdown of the amphitheater in Anno 117 Pax Romana. Every phase, every cost, and everything you need to know to get this monument built as smoothly as possible. If this guide helped you out, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Anno 117 tutorials, tips, and strategy videos. I've got a lot more content coming. I didn't want to make this video too long, but if you're interested in a full video on the Gladiator games, comment Gladiator down below so I know you want that video. And if you ever want to ask me questions live, I've been streaming Anno on Twitch, so feel free to hop in anytime and hang out. The link is down in the description. Thank you for watching, and good luck building your amphitheater. Peace.